Hello, and welcome to another installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet the daughter.
And I'm Kevin the dad. And this week we are doing a best of, which Juliet said, I don't want to do a best of, I don't want to do a greatest hits. But what does she do? She turns around and picks a best of. So she picked the Best of Grace Jones 20th Century Masters the Millennium Collection.
Yep, and I didn't even know I wanted to do this at first. In our house, we have a little library, and we have a CD case. And Dad has about 5.5 shelves, would you say, of CDs? Out of all the shelves on that case?
Yeah, 6 or 7, I think.
6 or 7. So I was looking around, and Grace Jones was not my first pick. I was definitely still in the rock and roll vibes of thinking, maybe we'll do Eric Clapton or something. But Dad didn't have any CDs that really jumped out at me. And then when I saw the title of this, it kind of took me by surprise, and I thought, oh, you know what? Why not? It's something this is an artist that I've always been interested in and I've wanted to find out more about. So, Dad, what should I know?
Well, first I'm going to give a quickie biography. Grace Jones was born in 1948 in Spanish Town, Jamaica. Her parents moved to New York, leaving her and her siblings behind in the care of Grace's maternal grandmother and step-grandfather, who was known as Master P, or Maz P, who, of course, was strict and abusive.
Oh.
When Grace was 13, she and the other kids moved to New York near Syracuse to be with their parents. She majored in Spanish in college when she took a theater class.
Yay!
Her drama teacher got to do a summer stock tour in Philadelphia. She ended up staying there, did the 60s thing, eventually moved to New York City, and signed with the Wilhelmina modeling agency. She moved to Paris in 1970. And modeled.
That explains her French vocabulary, okay.
Oui. She signed a deal with a small label that eventually was distributed by Island Records. Her first album, Portfolio, came out in 1977, and the big hit was La Vie en Rose, which was made famous by Edith Piaf. It was produced by Tom Moulton, who produced the follow-ups Fame and Muse. Grace wasn't too crazy about these albums. She felt her management was trying to turn her into a Diana Ross or Donna Summer type disco queen. Even though she was eventually called the Queen of the Gay Discos.
Really?
And also she did not have a lot of input making these records.
So when did she get that title, Queen of the Gay Disco?
I guess from doing the circuit in New York City.
Okay.
Also in 1977, she met Jean-Paul Goude, who designed her album covers, directed her music videos, choreographed live performances, and helped develop her image. And they also had a kid together.
I knew something was coming up along those lines.
Her son, Paul. And after her third album didn't do too well, the head of Island Records, Chris Blackwell, stepped in and said he'd produce the next album. He assembled the Compass Point All-Stars, which was a sort of Jamaican version of the Muscle Shoals Rhythm Section or the Wrecking Crew or the Motown House Band. The All-Stars were anchored by Sly Dunbar on drums and Robbie Shakespeare on bass.
That's a nice stage name. Is that his real name or is that a stage name?
Could be his real name.
If that's a real name, that's an awesome name.
The All-Stars played on 3 of the albums that make up the compilation we're going to review. Those albums are Warm Leatherette, one of my favorite album titles ever, Nightclubbing, and Living My Life, which came out in 1980, 81, and 82. And Grace loved working with Blackwell and the All-Stars because she felt she finally got to sing with her real voice, and she also had a lot of input on these albums.
Cool.
Since then, this is the Reader's Digest version of her life. She's put out more albums, had an acting career, her most famous roles being Mayday in the James Bond movie.
Yeah, was she the villain in that, or was she...
A View to a Kill.
Cool.
And she was like the backup villain. And Zula in Conan the Destroyer. She also won a Grammy in 1984 for Best Video Album for a one-man show. And recent work has been her 2015 autobiography entitled I'll Never Write My Memoirs.
Which she bought for my mom.
Yep. She worked with Gorillaz in 2017 on a song called Charger. And last October 2018, she received the Order of Jamaica, which is an equivalent to British knighthood, and she can be called the Honorable Grace Jones.
That's such a cool title. Oh, my God.
Okay, and the thing with these 3 albums is I was introduced to them way back in the 80s. I don't know if you remember when we did our Bowie podcast, I mentioned this guy, David Cobb.
Was he also a Grace Jones fan?
Huge Grace Jones fan. But just like her 80s stuff, which he brought in warm leatherette, night clubbing, and living my life, and I got to listen to these albums in their entirety, and it took me a while to get into them, but once they hit, they really hit.
Now, do we know anyone else that's like a big Grace Jones fan or like has some of her stuff?
No, not that I know of. I mean, I know your mom's a fan, but just for like her modeling and her image and her look. She loves her look.
Yeah, because she's so uniquely beautiful. She looks amazing. All right.
So the first song on this collection is La Vie en Rose, which I think has to be on here because it's the song that broke her. And this is from the album.
Broke her?
Well, broke her into the big time.
Oh, okay. I thought there was going to be like a tragic backstory behind this. I was like, oh my God.
No. That's okay. That's a showbiz term there.
Hey.
So La Vie en Rose came from, like I said, her first album Portfolio, which was produced by Tom Moulton. Mm-hmm. And the thing about her first 3 albums is that when Tom Moulton put these tracks together, basically they were made for like anyone could come in and sing these songs. They weren't geared to like a specific person.
Cool. Okay, so La Vie en Rose. Oh my God! As soon as I listened to the opening notes, because the thing with this song is I've heard it twice before, and I have never gotten the appeal of it. Once I heard it at one of my high school concerts, and the other time I heard it was when Mom had a Jane Oliver CD on. And this song to me is just so boring because most of the time when women sing this, they're trying to show off, ooh, look at me, I can perfectly sing French words. And as someone who took French for 4 years, that just grates on my nerves. So this one though, oh man, the opening notes completely took me by surprise with just how different it was from all the other versions I'd heard before. It was exciting, it was sensual, it felt like a 1940s nightclub. And the new sound didn't take away from the sincerity of the lyrics at all. Like, in my Portuguese class that I'm taking now in college, one of our units was studying Portuguese music, and I found this really unique playlist online where someone took fado, and they did it in the style of bossa nova, which I thought was interesting, but the style of bossa nova kind of takes away the emotional impact of those lyrics for some of those songs. Mm-hmm. This one didn't take away the emotional impact at all. She sings it with such sincerity. And when she started speaking the lyrics with a kind of a sexy timbre, at first I was taken aback because it felt like she was talking right at me. But I wasn't uncomfortable, I was just shocked because it was just like, I didn't expect her to, kind of talk to me. And also her singing the English completely took me by surprise because, again, when most women sing it, they only do the French because they want to show off. My one critique was that the instrumental at the beginning of the song, for me, it just went on a bit too long because it was almost 2 minutes before she started singing, so I was kind of like, okay, when are you gonna come in? And I thought, is this an instrumental? Like, is she playing instruments on this track or something? But the song after that, it didn't drag on for 7 minutes, and I really loved it, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I think I'm in love.
Well, I think the reason that the song was so long is because a lot of disco songs were long.
Yeah.
Because you had to keep the people out there dancing.
Yeah, and it sounds so different from any other song that she does on the album. And when I was talking to Mom about how much I love this, I didn't know that she said that you guys played this version at your wedding?
Okay, I'll buy that.
Uh-oh.
Your mom says a lot of things about the wedding, and I have to take her word for it because my memory is not what it used to be.
Ooh, you're in trouble. She's gonna listen to this.
I still know her name, I know her birthday, and I know when our anniversary is, so I'm pretty well covered.
And to give you an extra point, you remembered all of the things you had to say in your vows.
Okay, good. This version I love. This is the one that I've heard first. I'm always used to. Mm-hmm. Then I heard the Edith Piaf version years later, which I like, but I am just really used to this one.
Now, when was that one done?
Oh my God. I don't know. I want to say maybe 40s or 50s. I'm really not sure.
Okay. All right. Private Life. Now, for me, this song has the perfect blend of techno and rock, where one doesn't overpower the other, and the sound of the opening drums just hooked me right away. And I also love the tone of her voice when she sings this song because La Vie en Rose is totally different from every other song on this album. And she's singing so low compared to La Vie en Rose that it kind of scared me at certain parts, but it works because you could tell she is done with this guy's shit and she's having none of it anymore. She's totally cold and I love it. And a nice little touch with this song is that angry twang of electric guitar because it helps you realize under like the calm exterior, she is pissed.
Okay, now the reason that this sounds different is because this song and Love is the Drug and Breakdown and Warm Leatherette are all from Warm Leatherette, which, like I said, she had Chris Blackwell producing. Mm-hmm. He totally got her. He totally knew what she wanted to do. Okay. And she felt that this was her real voice, the voice that she's using on Private Life. Okay. Now, here's what you may not know. Private Life is a cover. It was originally done by the Pretenders. Okay.
I was wondering who originally did this, because you said before.
And when the Pretenders did it, they also did it as a reggae type song. Oh. And Chrissie Hynde said that when she heard Grace Jones's version, her reaction was, "Now this is what it's supposed to sound like."
Oh my God! Like when Bob Dylan heard Jimi Hendrix sing "All Along the Watchtower," and he says, "This is the definitive version."
I guess so.
Oh, so that's cool.
But I've heard Chrissie Hynde's version like a boatload of times more than Grace's. I don't have anything against Grace's, but I am definitely used to the Pretenders version. But yes, the way Grace comes across, she is just like,
you can tell who's wearing the pants.
Yes. Yeah, definitely her.
Yeah.
Definitely her.
And the first time I heard this song, I was kind of like, we'd gone out to dinner before on Blackstone Boulevard. We went to Rasoy for dinner, and then we went to Wildflower Bakery in the car. And I just remember I was kind of like in a happy little food coma. And then I'm sitting in the back of the car driving Blackstone Boulevard, and this was the song that came on. And I was dazed out, and I'm going, God, life is good. All right, Love is the Drug. My first question, what the hell is the bell? Because she talks about, what's the lyric? For the bell to ring? What's the bell?
I don't know.
You don't?
No.
Oh, man.
This is another cover. This is by Roxy Music. And
I don't know who that is.
Okay. They came out in the 70s. Brian Ferry was the lead singer. Brian Eno was an original member of the group. I think he just for the first album. Then he left and did this Brian Eno thing and produced everyone in the late 80s and early 90s. Yeah. I've been used to the Roxy Music version. It's a lot faster.
It's very fast, but I think I get why, because love is the drug, and damn it, she's gonna get that high.
Okay.
Yeah. Now what I want to ask is, sometimes I feel like in this song the lines are blurred between love being the drug and sex being the drug. Like, can you get what I mean by that? Like
I totally understand that.
Yeah, so that's where the song kind of confused me. But again, as soon as I heard the opening guitar, like building and building, I was in. There was more techno in this song, but that's not a complaint, just an observation comparing it to the previous song. And then if you notice, at the end, it kind of gets dark. Because the noises die down slightly, and she sounds like a real addict who's about to fade away. And I was just like, oh my God, I didn't think they were going to go in that direction at all.
Interesting. Yeah. And like you said before, is love the drug or is sex the drug? And it just hit me that maybe Roxy Music originally wanted to call it Sex is the Drug, but that probably would not have been played on the radio.
Probably not. I mean, what year did MTV come out?
1981. I believe August 1st, 1981.
Okay.
A day that will live in infamy.
Yeah, because if this had been, like, a song that was put on MTV, maybe they could have gotten away with calling it Sex is the Drug, and they would have just played it late at night. Or something like that.
Probably.
Yeah. All right, Breakdown. This is a Tom Petty song?
Yeah, this is a Tom Petty song.
Now, do we know what he thought of this? Because I love a woman singing it.
I'm going to tell you after you give me your opinion.
Okay, great. I'm so excited. All right, so I really love a woman singing this because I love the image of a powerful woman seducing a strong man where it's like she's the one in control. And this is not an image you see often because, you know, in my mind I was thinking about the reverse with Tom Petty singing this, and it's kind of like, okay, you know, guy seducing girl, you know, pretty normal for rock and roll. But this version is just like, oh my god, you don't see it that often, and I can totally see her toying with this guy. And in my notes, because this is the song where I wrote down, holy shit, I might be in love with Grace Jones, because at this point I was like, this is amazing! Alright, what did Tom Petty say? I have to know, please.
Okay, Tom wrote the third verse just for her. There's a third verse. It's okay if you must go. I'll understand if you don't. You say goodbye right now. I'll still survive somehow. Why should we let this drag on?
Oh
Because he doesn't sing that in the original
doesn't?
version. Nope.
So he was totally cool with this.
Yeah, I mean, if the man's gonna write a verse just for her, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't like release an official comment or anything.
I guess that would probably be official
Yeah,
enough.
that kind of counts as it. So when he sang that song, was there like a whole different set of lyrics in place, or was there just like nothing?
What do you mean, when he wrote it?
Yeah, when he wrote it, were they different lyrics, or did?
No, they were the same lyrics. He just added a third verse.
Yeah, but in the space where that third verse is, was
Nah,
there something else before, or?
No, it was just more instrumental than anything.
Okay. Well,
I guess he just decided to build on it. And, yeah, I think it's interesting with Love is the Drug and Breakdown that, yeah, these were both sung by men, and now you're getting the woman's point of view.
Yeah.
And you're getting the strongest woman in the world's point of view.
Yeah, I was just like, this is amazing. Oh my god.
Because you just do not mess with this woman.
No, you don't. And I mean, if you look at the cover of the CD, it's like, you could tell that she's a badass and she's strong and she could possibly snap you in half.
Oh, yeah. And I like the back cover of the CD. I'm glad you mentioned that because she's half human, half accordion. Just the way that's shot.
I mean, I didn't think of it
It's
that
like
way.
a part of her.
Yeah, but those heels are really sharp, and like the sharpness of her haircut, it really works. But it's like, that cover to me is a bit misleading because, you see that cover and then the first song is La Vie en Rose and it kind of takes you by surprise. But then when you hear the rest of the songs, you're like, oh, now that cover makes sense.
Plus, I think this is a shot from her a one-man show video.
Okay.
Which I want to try and hunt down and watch because I guess it's a compilation of all her videos.
Oh, is it not on YouTube or something?
I don't know. I haven't checked yet to find out.
Under her nose, that's a long cigarette, right?
I don't know what that is. That looks like someone might have just kind of inserted it in there.
Maybe.
Pre-Photoshop.
Oh, yeah, because you can see the shadow of it.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Okay. Warm Leatherette. Now, when I saw this title, I'm like, this is such a good title. But I thought it was going to be like, leather, like, yeah. I thought it was going to be that.
Don't look at me as your dad. Look at me as another person and say what you want to say.
Yeah. All right. I thought this was going to be like, kinky sex leather, bondage leather sort of thing.
Oh, you are so close.
Yeah. So when I heard this song and I finally heard it, this song really freaked me out. And I think it would have freaked me out even more if I had been driving because I would have been panicking, trying not to think about crashing the car. I would have been like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. When I pulled up the lyrics, I knew someone was going to die, and that was further confirmed by the alarming guitar sound in the background. And the sirens at the end were a nice touch, and I'm still not over the way Jones pronounces warm leatherette. It's like,
wow.
Yeah!
Leatherette.
And it's just like, the contrast between the two, it never ceases to shock me. And hearing this song, it made me think back to Teenage Queen, because this song is definitely on the other end of the spectrum for car crash songs compared to that song.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But in this one, you kind of get the feeling, yeah, she's going to crash the car, but she will live.
Oh, wait, she's the one crashing the car?
I don't know, but she did say that this was sex as a car crash.
That's
kind
horrifying.
of comparing it. Well, there was this movie that came out in the early 2000s, I think, by David Cronenberg called Crash, and it was about people who got off on having
car crashes?
Sex right before the car crash.
That's not the movie that beat out Brokeback Mountain for an Academy Award, right? Or is that a different crash?
I think that was a different crash.
Okay, yeah. Because I was about to say,
no,
wow,
this was a
that
different.
flown with the
This was a
Academy.
different one. Either that, or I got the title wrong. I'm sure someone out there in YouTube land will get all upset and let me know.
Yeah. Also, when I realized she was talking about, let's do this before we die, I was thinking, okay, they're in a car crash, and she's like, we're gonna do this before we die. I'm like, I'm just picturing a car crash, and I'm thinking, wait, are they doing this while they're in the car crash? Like, that's a lot of multitasking going on. Like, I'm thinking, like, shards of glass are flying everywhere. Airbags are, like, exploding and blowing out. I'm like, huh? Because I'm trying to think of how that could work.
Oh, maybe they're doing it caused the car crash.
Oh, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah, you're keeping one hand on the wheel and one hand on something else. You know, a little hard there. Like you said, multitasking.
Yeah. Okay.
Apparently, procreation was more important than, road safety.
Yeah, I've heard, like, crazy stories about people who were, like, doing it in the car and then they kick the car in reverse. And I'm like, how do you do that? Because, like, it's up there and you're back there. How do you kick it into reverse? Because you have to push the button on the side in order to, like, shift gears.
No, unless it's a stick shift and the foot, you're just kicking it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Okay, so with an automatic, that wouldn't make as much sense. Like, that would be hard. Like, you'd have to hook your foot around the button and then push it and pull it back.
Yeah, manual transmission's a lot easier to have some, like, wacky adventures.
And how do you know that?
I've heard things.
Moving right past that!
Yes, let's.
All right.
Sally. Okay, now the next group of songs, Walking in the Rain, Pull Up to the Bumper, I've seen that face before, and Demolition Man are from the album Nightclubbing.
Okay, so Walking in the Rain, did the Ronettes do this one?
No, they had a song called Walking in the Rain, but
different.
This song was by an Australian band called Flash in the Pan. It was written by, I hope I get the names right, the first names anyway, Henry Vanda and George Young, and they were in Easy Beats in the 60s. Their big, huge hit was called Friday on My Mind, and George Young's siblings, Malcolm and Angus, are members of AC/DC.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. All right, so I get why Jones chose to sing this song because she's uniquely beautiful and gorgeous. So she's singing this song like, I may be different, but you're all peasants to me and I own you all. Like John Lennon is like, you're effing peasants to me. I don't care. She's so badass in this song, and the instruments are lovely. And, with the flute especially, and the guitar chord, it reminded me of the Hard Day's Night chord with the dun,
yep.
Because it's that strong. And the one thing I will say about this song, I couldn't help but think of, like, this song kind of reminded me of a poetry jam because of, like, it was all spoken and made me think of the beatniks Mom likes to imitate from Happy Days, like, no birdseed for you, only death. Like, I couldn't help but think of it because, like, there's a lot of, like, song speak in this, and it's like, you either hear that at a poetry jam, or if you're Rex Harrison doing My Fair Lady as Henry Higgins. So I was just like, okay, this is a choice. I don't know if I get why she did it, but I still like it.
Well, I think the thing is because Flash in the Pan, they kind of did like speak singing. I mean, I haven't heard this particular song, but I have heard some of their stuff, and they do tend to do that. So maybe that's where she got the idea from. Yeah. Either that or like with the previous song, she's more talk singing than actual singing, but
yeah. Also, Flash in the Pan is an awesome band name.
Yes, it is.
That's cool. All right, Pull Up to the Bumper. Now, when I first read the title, the first thing I thought of was the theme song for Moon Boy on the BBC. Dancing at the disco, bumper to bumper. Which, if you haven't seen Moon Boy, it's hilarious. Okay, Dad.
Yes, Jules.
Is she talking about what I think she's talking about?
Well, to quote Grace herself from her autobiography, if you think the song is not about parking a car, then shame on you. Because she's very insistent that it's about, you've got this big limousine and you've got this small parking space, how you gonna get it in?
But, come on! I mean, she says lubricate and for a car that works, but as soon as she said that lyric, I literally said out loud, oh my god, she said it! But like, come on! Are we just all dirty-minded people?
Yes, we are.
Okay, well...
And she is pure.
Okay, well, now that she said that, I don't think I have any notes anymore.
No, go ahead, note it up.
All right,
I mean, you're allowed to bring your own interpretation.
Okay, so...
She'll just, say, shame on you.
All right, well...
Shame on you.
Oh my god, be like a Game of Thrones with Cersei Lannister. Shame! Alright, so, okay, so if this song was about what we all thought it was about, then...
Entering through the back door, as a polite way of putting it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, good euphemism.
Thank you.
Also,
I'm not the one who came up with that.
Yeah, also, the honking horns,
See, there's the driving part. Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Come on, pal, move it. I'm driving here, pal.
Yeah, I was about to say, does that mean others are waiting to pull up?
No, it's like you're in the way and they're trying to get by. Let's go, pal.
Okay.
Let's go, pal.
God, alright. I feel so immature now because as I was listening to this song, I was just grinning like an idiot. I feel ashamed.
Don't be, because she may have been putting us on. But she's very insistent that...
Maybe that's like tongue-in-cheek. Like, oh, shame on you, wank. Yeah, do you remember the first time you heard this song? Were you kind of like uncomfortable?
No, not really, because I really wasn't listening to the lyrics. And then I started listening to the lyrics and I thought, okay, all right, yep, I know what's going on, all right.
You tell me this wasn't a song that you heard it like while you were working at the safety shop.
I'd like to tell you that was not so, but it was so.
Oh my God, that must have been an awkward work day.
No, because it wasn't like we blasted the music in the customers.
Yeah, true.
Like we had our own room, which was down in the basement, and so no one could hear us upstairs, so we could just, play whatever we wanted. I had a boombox, and we would just always bring in cassettes.
Oh, cool.
Until David was the first one to get a CD player. So he'd bring in a portable CD player and bring in these CDs, and I was so jealous because I didn't have a CD player.
Yeah, did you guys all stare at it like, how does this work? What does it do?
Do I have to buy special speakers in order to listen to the music? That was a concern of mine.
Oh my God, knowing now what the answer to that is, I'm thinking, oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, I was so naive back then, but then I went out and bought my own CD player and CDs. I was like, ha, I'm catching up to you.
Do you still have your original CD player somewhere?
It actually stopped working, so I ended up recycling it years and years ago.
At least you recycled it.
Yeah.
All right, I've seen that face before. Is it Libertango? It's got like this second title next to it.
Did we miss? No, we didn't. Sorry,
No,
I've seen that face before.
I've seen that face before. So
this was another remake. It's a reworking of Astor Piazzolla's tango called Libertango.
Oh, it is the Liber.
And it's with new lyrics by Grace and Barry Jones, who I believe was her brother, and I think he's like he's a pastor for a mega church in California now.
Huh. That's an interesting turn, kind of like the Reverend Al Green. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I thought to myself, I was listening to this song, I was like, some of these techno parts kind of sound like an accordion. And then right afterward, the French accordion kicked in. I was like, I am so smart. I was having my Homer Simpson moment.
Well, I mean, tango, the accordion's a big part of tango.
Yeah. Okay. So the song, I can't really tell what it's about. Is it about like a stalker she kicks out of her life or something? Is it like about a ladies' man? I can't really tell.
I'm not sure. I remember reading something about this song, and of course, being the old dad that I am, I completely forgot.
Dad, you're not that old.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I wouldn't even consider you old yet.
How about senile? Shoot, I cannot remember. But it's probably, someone from my past that I used to have a thing with.
Yeah, and then kicked her out of her life. Also, is the French that she's singing supposed to be the French music she's singing about? Like, she mentions, like, she can hear French music playing from far away. Because if so, like, if you look up the English translation of these lyrics, pretty dark.
Oh, it was something about, now that you mention that, it was something about, she's concerned about the other person, actually.
Oh.
What are you doing? I can't remember all the English words, but I know it was, like, some sort of concern.
Okay.
I'm fading out on this song, sorry.
It's alright. I'll just send it with saying this
It ain't no pull up to the bumper. I'll tell you that.
Well, yeah, you're gonna remember that one because...
Until I'm dead.
Oh, God. Alright, so just to finish off this song, it felt like a face-off, and once again, Grace Jones is victorious. Alright, Demolition Man, the Police did this song?
Here's the thing.
Oh.
Sting wrote it.
Okay.
Grace did it first.
Oh, did you write it for her and then they did it?
I don't know. I couldn't find anything that specifically said he did, but it's possible because
Okay.
I think her version is more true to the idea of Demolition Man, whereas when the police recorded it for Ghost in the Machine, theirs is a little more jazzy. And I think
can't picture
the
this
way,
being jazzy.
well, it's not bad, but I think the way that she does it, especially with the way she comes across, she's definitely a Demolition Man.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, once again, she's able to take a song written by men and play a really powerful, intimidating woman. You can't help but see is like, this one's a friggin' badass. It's like, she's a killer, and she ain't messing around. And it's like, I could picture in her head, like, she's got some guy tied to a chair with, like, ropes, maybe a couple zip ties around his wrists, who wakes up in a dark room with a single light bulb dangling from the ceiling, and he's like, huh? Why am I here? And then you just hear this voice coming out of nowhere, and he craps his pants. She's gonna screw with this guy. And again, listening to this song makes you want to hear. So, I guess the police version isn't really the original if she did it first, because it's like listening to like the police do this song or Tom Petty do Breakdown. You know, I don't think I could listen to those because I think she's ruined the originals for me, and I think they sound kind of weak in comparison to these. That's an interesting
way of putting it, that they would sound weak, because, I mean, she's definitely a force.
Yeah.
I mean, when she came on the Merv Griffin show, which was like the 70s version of Ellen for you youngsters out there.
I mean,
when she was on the show, his intro to her was, "Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself. Grace Jones."
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, my Jamaican Guy, my first note was, this is the first time I realized that she wrote a song on this album, because I know she wrote, what was the other song she wrote lyrics for before this? Was it?
Libertango.
Libertango, okay. So, the opening techno kind of reminds me of the sound of like a Jamaican steel drum, which I think was on purpose. I had a hard time figuring out what this song was about, because she wrote it with, you know, the distinct Jamaican dialect. And it's really interesting when you Google the lyrics, because they're all written out pretty much phonetically. So if you have any notes about this song, please tell me, because I want to know more. I'm kind of clueless.
Well, this was in her autobiography.
Okay.
And she said she was inspired by Tyrone Downey, who played keyboards for Bob Marley.
Oh,
and
cool.
I quote, "I remember him in the swimming pool, and he came out of the water with his dreadlocks flashing in the sun. As he came out of the water, he shook his dreadlocks like a dog would to dry off, and the water sprayed around him like sparks, and I thought of the idea, my Jamaican Guy."
Okay.
Then she goes on to assure us that she did not have an affair with this guy. It was just a moment of inspiration, and she wrote the song. But yeah, she doesn't do, well, on this compilation, she doesn't do a lot of the songwriting herself, but she does write this one and the next one. And I want to say My Jamaican Guy and Nipple to the Bottle are both from Living My Life.
Okay. Because you can definitely tell that, like, oh yeah, I totally believe she wrote this.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I mean, plus she originally is from Jamaica.
Yeah, so she knows what she's talking
about. And again,
about.
these albums were all recorded in Jamaica as well.
Yeah.
And, well, and okay, Nassau, the Bahamas, sorry.
Also, it's like what you were saying about her being inspired by the guy. It just goes to show artists don't necessarily just have to sleep with their muses for inspiration.
True.
I mean, you know, Lin-Manuel Miranda, he has Karen Olivo. They never had a relationship. He just likes writing songs about her because she's a good singer.
Oh, you always managing to work in this Broadway stuff, don't you?
I'm a theater major, Dad. What do you expect? And that's why I was kind of mad when you talked about she took a theater class. I'm like, hey, you're paying my tuition to be a theater major. Why are you mad all of a sudden?
You better win a Tony.
Yes, sir. Or maybe I'll win like a Tony equivalent. Maybe an Obie or something like that.
Not good enough.
All right, we're gonna have a
I don't want no off-Broadway award. I want an on-Broadway award.
Shit, all right.
So see what you can do.
All right, as long as I'm happy with my career, I'm
okay,
fine.
This totally has nothing to do with the next song or any of these songs, but it was just like a little story I wanted to share about Grace. Like, she is like one of the few people I know who, like, she comes across as when she says something, she does it. And to give an example, when W was running for president,
George W?
She was one of those people who came out and said, if he wins, I'm going to move out of the country. He won, and the next day she moved. And I respect her for her being a woman of her word, because so many people like, I'm gonna move, and no one did except her. She moved to Paris. Which,
okay, that's what I thought. It's like, makes sense she'd move to France. It's like, yeah, all the people, like, you know, like, I remember, like, when the 2016 election was about to come out, Dina and I were, like, saying if we were older and we could move to Canada, we would. But it was really funny because, like, the night after, it was like, you know, I was a mess. Like, I remember I woke up to you and I said, I don't want to go to school this morning. But I went on the computer and I went onto the Canadian immigration site. The website completely crashed. And I was like, the one funny part about all of this.
Yeah, but how many people do you think actually did that?
You know, I don't know.
Okay, we're getting away from the music
yes.
thing. All right, and
so
finally...
Nipple to the Bottle, long version. Another song written by her. So this last song is, again, powerful woman who's not taking any shit. So I love the lyric from the nipple to the bottle, now the cow must die, because she's like, I'm going to cut you off completely. Which is like, wow, you wouldn't think of doing that, because it's like, you're right, you kill the cow, you can't get milk. And her singing voice, it just oozes disgust. Like, she's like, all right, you pushed me this far, time to slaughter a calf.
Well, I pretty much summed up this song in 3 words to, you know, the object of the song. Not getting any.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you ain't getting shit. Like, this could be, and if you think about it, like, this could be anything. Maybe he's, like, sucking her bank account dry. Maybe he's, like, buying drugs. Maybe he's sleeping with women or something. We don't know what the milk could be. It could be anything. Whatever shit is, though, she's done with it.
Mm-hmm.
She's moving on. Okay, so, alright, to conclude with my final thoughts on this album, not gonna lie, this is incredibly sexy.
Again.
Yeah. What she's able to do covering songs is amazing by making each cover so unique and so true to her personality and her vocal style that, again, I can't even imagine listening to the original versions because they'd probably sound so bland. I hope people still listen to her stuff and that she was a really big deal when she came out because, goddamn, she's amazing. And if you haven't listened to her yet, oh man, do it, please. I love this album. I'm completely enamored with her. And I downloaded the whole album on Spotify. I have the whole thing now, and I'm super happy. Like, I was sitting in the Poli-Sci Lounge yesterday, and I was just listening to Private Life, and my friend Mike came up to me, and he asked, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, my dad had me listen to this Grace Jones album, and he's like, Grace Jones? And, like, I couldn't articulate what she meant to me, and so all I said was, she's so good! And in my head, I'm like, oh, you idiot, you shouldn't have said that! Oh, my God! That's not what you meant! But it's just, like, I can't even, like, describe why I love this woman and what she sounds like, but just listen to this album for yourself, and you'll see what I mean, and then come talk to me about it in person, and we can geek out. It'll be great.
And if you enjoyed this best of, then you could probably pick up Warm Leatherette Nightclubbing in Living My Life and hear all the stuff that's not on here.
Now, did you see the James Bond movie she was in?
Yeah.
How was she in the movie?
You know, badass. Definitely,
nice.
You know, I think she should have been the main villain as opposed to Christopher Walken in his bad wig.
Bad wig?
Bad wig.
Oh, okay, I'll Google that later. Yeah, I mean, that's something where it's like Christopher Walken, who plays the tough guy in the movies, if you make him look like a wimp, then that says a hell of a lot about you. Alright, so, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. And before we conclude, I just want to say, Dad, thank you for doing so much research on this. Mom told me that, like, you were downstairs for hours, like, looking stuff up online, going through the book you bought for her, so thanks for finding all this stuff.
Oh, you're welcome, because I realized, you know, I love this CD, I love her music, and I just realized I don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
And again, it was like the Reader's Digest version of her life. There were so many other things I wish I could have included in here, but, you know, that's what the interwebs are for.
Yeah. And also, read her book.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good
Yeah, there's a lot of
book.
good stories in there.
Alright, so, again, thank you as always for listening to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to our channel if you want any future content. And if you want, tap the bell for notifications. That way you can be notified as soon as our videos get published. And we will be back with another album next episode to nitpick and gripe about. Thank you for listening as always.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night.